So I'm going to be putting out a challenge, and I wanted to just do this live stream. I'm going to keep this very short, to the point. We'll probably go for about 10 minutes. But what I want to talk to you guys about is, I want to talk to you about making lasting change in your life in all areas, but mainly in your career, mainly in your health and fitness, and mainly in just your life in general. And I want to explain to you what I've been doing recently, and actually for a number of years now, that has allowed me to have some fairly radical transformations and hit some very audacious goals. I've had some huge milestones in the past 10 years. I've also had some huge downfalls too, but the achievements that I had along the way, it always came because I followed what I want to talk to you about today. Okay, this simple technique. And at the end of this very short live stream, I'm going to invite you to actually come and be a member of this. And it's brand new and it's 100% free. Okay, it will not cost you anything. Okay, so I'm announcing this right now on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, and also I'm recording it back there as well. So let me just get started by talking to you guys about this in very broad terms. And just don't mind me, I've got my notes here, just so I stay on track. I tend to ramble a little bit. I believe that most people really don't even come close to reaching their full potential in life. I believe that most people barely would be at 40%. I think most people would be capable of a lot more if they really push themselves. But most people don't. Most people don't want to get uncomfortable. Most people would rather just drift along through life and be comfortable, but never come close to achieving their full potential. And I think that's kind of sad. I think it's sad. If you live in the Western world and you've got all the advantages of living in the Western world, I think that if you don't do everything you're capable of doing to reach your full potential, it's just a complete waste. So I'm talking about your full potential in your fitness, your health, and it's never too late, by the way, regardless of age or whatever condition you're in right now, your career, your relationships, all of that. So I think there's really two main reasons why this happens. First of all, comfort zones. You've all heard people talk about comfort zones. You've heard me talk about comfort zones. Comfort zones are, they're warm, they're familiar, they're comfortable. And the problem with comfort zones is that in the short term, it feels like you're in the right place. It feels good. But days go by, weeks, months, and years, before you know it, you wake up 10 years later and you think, where did the time go? Where did my 20s go? Where did my 30s go? Where did my 40s go? And you feel like you've missed so much because you just cruised through life. You got stuck in those comfort zones. I have found that over the last 10 years, the times that I did get out of my comfort zone, as stressful as it was, as much pressure as there was, that's when I had the biggest leaps forwards. I'll give you an example, okay? I remember in 2015, I'm in Malaysia, a part of Malaysia called Kota Kinabalu, and I'm doing a high-end event there, and I've got probably 150, 200 people, something like that. So we're at the Shangri-La Resort, really nice place. And we were midway through this event, which was a 5-day event, all-inclusive, and I had an opportunity, and I'd heard about this months before, of course, I had an opportunity to speak on stage in Brighton in the UK. Now, it just so happened that it was right in the middle of my 5-day event in Malaysia. And I couldn't cancel my 5-day event because people had already registered. And if I said no to this speaking opportunity, which was going to have thousands of people in the room in this big stadium, if I said no to it, I might never get that chance again. So I thought to myself, how can I possibly do both? And I came up with a crazy solution, which was I would spend the first 2.5 days in Malaysia at this event, speaking on stage, doing my thing. And then what I would do is I would rush to the airport, Kuala Lumpur, get on a plane, fly all the way to London, which was I think about a 10-hour flight, all night, fly all night, land, Someone would drive me to Brighton 2 hours away. I'd go on stage in front of this enormous crowd, which, to be honest, I was terrified of doing, but I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And I would do my 90-minute spiel, and then I would rush back to the airport, fly all night again back to Malaysia, and then finish my 5-day event. At least I'd be there for the last 24 hours. So I ended up doing this, and I, of course, arrived in Brighton exhausted, completely exhausted. The very last thing I wanted to do was speak on stage, let alone in front of thousands of people. But I did it. It was by far, up until that point, one of the most uncomfortable situations in my life, but I forced myself to do it. Now, the result of doing that was enormous. I got a lot of benefits from it long term for the next 6 months. I did really, really well out of it. But I was exhausted. I was extremely far outside of my comfort zone. By the way, those of you on Instagram, if this cuts out, I apologize. My battery, again, I did not charge my battery. So come on over to YouTube if it does cut out. But I was right outside my comfort zone. Now, here's the funny thing. When you really stretch outside of that comfort zone, it's like an elastic band. If you just flex that elastic band a little bit, it's going to spring back to its original size. There's no permanent lasting change. However, if you stretch it beyond a certain point, it will reduce in size, but it will be an expanded size. Okay, that is how comfort zones work. So if you want to break out of a comfort zone and you want to have it be long-lasting, permanent, you've got to do something which will really stretch you. So that's what I started doing. I noticed about 10 years ago that if I wanted to reach my ambitions, I was going to have to voluntarily step into situations which made me feel very uncomfortable, but I knew it would be worth it. And that's what I started to do. Now, the reason why so many of us resist stepping out of those comfort zones is because we have parts of our brain, the human brain, which formed long before these big kind of frontal lobes formed, which have, you know, more emotions and higher level functioning in some regards. But those more primitive parts of our brain, there's these two things that are behind your eyes, right? They're back behind your eyes. They're called the amygdala, and they are responsible for fight or flight. They're like your brain's smoke alarm. So when you're in a situation where you perceive danger, your heartbeat starts to pick up, you start to sweat, you kind of start to tense up. You know, are you going to have to fight, or are you going to have to run away? You know, there's some threat here. Something is not right. That's designed to keep you alive. That's designed to, many thousands of years ago, if someone was coming to kill you, or an animal was going to come and tear you apart, that is designed to keep you safe. Now, in today's world, that it definitely has its uses, but you're far less likely to get attacked, although with what's happening these days, yeah. But you're far less likely in the modern kind of workplace. That fight or flight response, it doesn't always serve you. And that's why people stay in their comfort zone, okay? They don't like that feeling where their heartbeat picks up and everything starts to get stressful. But I learned to embrace that early on. And when I figured this out, I remember I started to find ways that I could optimize it and I could increase the effectiveness of it. So for example, one thing that I started to do was leverage a public audience. So I would announce these goals, these stretch targets publicly. And now, because I care what other people think, we all do to some extent, I didn't want to let people down. So if I said, look, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do all these different action steps, now I have to follow through, because now if I don't do it, I feel bad about that. It doesn't feel consistent with what I said I was going to do. So I started to do this a lot more regularly and on purpose. So I remember one time in 2014, I'm doing this big event in the Bahamas. And one of my goals was to get really lean and in shape. I wanted to get, you know, six-pack abs. I wanted to be in great shape. So I thought, okay, what do I need to achieve that goal? I need to get very disciplined about my workout. I need to get very disciplined about what I'm eating. And I need to do something extreme. If I want extreme results, I've got to be prepared to go to extreme measures. So in front of several hundred people on stage, I shared this goal. And I shared what I was going to do on a daily basis, and that was 500 push-ups a day, documented on video. I would run 5 miles per day, 5 miles, and a certain number of sit-ups. I forget how many. Now, I wasn't doing any push-ups at all, so to suddenly go from none to 500 push-ups a day, I found out, sorry, give me one sec, my microphone just came down. I found out, okay, all right, there we go. So I found out the hard way that if you suddenly start doing 500 push-ups a day, you're going to need shoulder surgery if you keep that up for a few weeks. So I made it to about 2 weeks into it, and my consequence was I would have to donate $10,000 US to a charity if I didn't follow through and post daily proof online on Facebook. So I failed that, and I ended up having to give $10,000 to charity, which I did, and I did that on video. Of course, I turned it into a promotion as well, but I did that. But the lesson that I learned was, even though it was only 12 days, it was still an extreme measure. It still smashed out of that comfort zone that I was so used to of not pushing my body to its physical limits. And then I started to think, okay, what went wrong with this challenge? And over the years, I began to refine it. I began to optimize the process. I realized that you need to pick goals that are going to stretch you, they're going to really push you, but they have to be somewhat reasonable. So for example, going from nothing to doing 500 push-ups a day for 6 months, that was what I said I would do. That's not exactly all that reasonable, okay? So I got better and better at doing these challenges. Now, here's how this relates to you. Here's what's in it for you. I've now done so many of these that I've developed a process, a system, to getting them in such a way that they will help you break through any limits you have, break through comfort zones, and reach new heights of success in 10 days. Okay, they go for 10 days. These days, I do them for 10 days. And what this is about, guys, is this is about short-circuiting discipline and motivation, because discipline and motivation, they are overrated. If you have to rely on your own self-discipline to do things, most of us can do things for a few days. We can get up at 5 a.m. for a couple days on our own. But if we're not used to that and we start trying to do that and hold ourselves accountable, most of us will really struggle. So what this is all about is, rather than depending 100% on your discipline and motivation, which tend to move up and down in waves, what you do instead is you design an environment which makes discipline and motivation completely irrelevant. When I say you design an environment, I mean you have real accountability, you have real consequences, you have real benefits if you hit your target. And there's a lot more to it, but that's what this 10-day system, which again is completely free, and I'm inviting you to join it right now, that is what it is about. Okay, it is about this 10-step process which works. It allows you to reach new heights of success in those core areas of your life, your health and fitness, your career, and just life in general, okay? So I've now been doing quite a few of these. You might have seen I did one recently where I said I'd get up at 5:30 a.m. every single morning. Now, for some of you watching this, you're probably thinking, what's the big deal? I get up at 5 a.m. every day. Well, for me, that's a big deal, because normally I sleep late, I wake up late. So to do that for 10 days in a row, that was a challenge, which was quite difficult. But following this system, it worked. I then did another one where I said I would do 3 live streams, each lasting about 1 hour per day for 10 days. 30 live streams over 10 days. That was challenging. That was actually really, really challenging. But it worked. And now I'm doing another one. Right now, in fact, I am on day 8 today, where it's 6 a.m. starts, 8 rounds of boxing. It's a blog post a day, and a few other things. I forget. What else is it? Blog post. I forget. There's one other thing. But I'm doing these on a regular basis because I recognize, like everyone, I tend to get stuck in my comfort zones, and my ambitions are to always be growing. And I know that you know that you're capable of far more, and this system will help you achieve that. And again, it's completely free, okay? So, here's how it works. there's a website called strivecourses.com/challenge. I want you to go there right now. You can sign up, you can enroll, and it's completely free. Okay, it is completely free. Here's what I promise. I promise that if you do the training every single day over these 10 days, if you actually go and do it, your life will change in a positive way. But I also promise that to get that reward, it's going to require that you will be a little bit out of your comfort zone, quite a bit in fact. It will be stressful at times. It will make you tired. It will be difficult at times. However, if you can follow through and if you can do the whole thing for the 10 days with me, I'll be doing it too, it will just allow you to reach new heights of success in whatever areas of your life are important to you. I'm not going to tell you what those areas are because as part of this system, you get to define them. So you pick your own goals. What's important to you? Do you want to be healthier, fitter? Do you have some specific target in mind that relates to your health? To your career, maybe you want to get ahead in your career. You want to advance further. So you've got to identify what are those things for you. You put them into this system. You follow through. You follow the daily training that I've set up as part of this system. And when you get to the end of it, the reward will be enormous. The reward will be that you've now proven to yourself that you can do this and you've experienced change. Now I picked 10 days because I believe to make lasting change, you need to do it for at least 10 days. We could have done it for 3 days or 5 days, but 10 days is enough that things will start to become a pattern. They'll start to become a routine and you can integrate them into your life. Now there's a small catch. The catch is that when you enroll, you have 12 days to complete the whole thing. If you don't use it, if you don't log back in, that's it. You get 12 days. And I made it that way because it's going to help with the follow through. Okay, there's always got to be consequences. There's got to be benefits, but there's also got to be some pain if you don't follow through. Okay, so this whole system has been designed for all of these years that I've been doing this to figure out what creates lasting change in a person's life and how do you help that person reach their full potential, break through new barriers, reach new targets. One last thing, you're also going to have your very own personal success mentor, okay? Now this person will be calling you, actually you will be calling them, the initiative must come from you, but they're going to be checking in once a day. This will be a very short call. It might be about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It'll be a very short call. And their job, along with you, because this must come from you primarily, is to keep you on track and keep you accountable. So this whole system has real accountability built into it to produce real results. If you want to get access to it, it's completely free. Go to strivecourses.com/challenge. It'll take you a couple minutes right now to sign up and we can get you started. So that's it, guys. So that is it. Go to strivecourses.com/challenge. We're going to have a bunch of people getting started tomorrow morning, in fact. Now, I'm going to be doing some of these calls myself, so don't be surprised to get a call from me sometime tomorrow. And one of the very first things we're going to do is we're going to talk about your goals in your life. What are your targets? What are these big ambitions you have that you've always wanted to do, but you just need that extra little nudge, to get you to follow through. So by joining this 10-day challenge, this is that extra nudge. This will help you with the follow through and create lasting change in your life. Okay, so take action now. Look forward to talking with you and having you be part of this program, and we'll speak soon. All right, thanks everyone. So we're going to wrap up this live stream. I told you it would be short. Thanks everyone on YouTube. See you later. And those of you on Facebook as well, thank you very much. And Instagram, I think we lost everyone on Instagram. So thanks everyone on Facebook.